Darndale, 1985. There's two young lads, Keith Byrne, 10 years of age, Noel Murray, 13. Keith's ma tells him to go down to the shops to get potatoes for the dinner, and on the way back he runs into his buddy Noel. I should say, it took me a while to figure it out. This is Dublin dinner time. So like...
like lunchtime.
Yeah, because it took me ages to figure this out.
Well, no, that's country dinner time, 1 in the day.
Not for us.
Back in the day dinner time anyway, because a lot of that's kind of gone.
Yeah.
Because
then
tea was like a meal at 5 or 6.
I'm pretty sure Fianna Fáil like ran as a slogan. It was like, we're the party of the people that have their dinner in the middle of the day. That was their whole thing when they were out of power. It's like,
I think they need that.
Real Ireland.
Keith drops the spuds off to his ma. She yells not to go far because it's nearly ready. He says, don't worry, I won't. So they go and hop on the Dart and head off to Dun Laoghaire.
Okay.
So the Dart was already in existence 85.
Yeah. I don't know if, and they'd said that this time that they'd use the Dart and other like trains to get all around Ireland, even at this age of like between like 8 and like 12, 13, that they're just going into Cork, to Galway, anywhere they want, just jump on, just call it bunking.
Because it's a bit of a walk to get to the Dart from Darndale.
Yeah. Where Darndale's like northwest Dublin, is it?
Darndale's north of Coolock.
Yeah.
And it's northeast actually. It's it's north middle. It's north central.
Did you point at
on
the map of the world?
The last time I was in Darndale, I saw there's a big rock with the Republican proclamation on it.
Oh, really?
And someone had put that through a car window. So welcome to Darndale.
Yeah, so Darndale's like
I think
hardcore.
That seems like things have gotten worse there now, because here it's all innocent.
Yeah.
They're just
it's pretty new. I guarantee if you Google when were these houses built, they weren't built that longer than 10 years.
Probably the 80s then,
Yeah, anyway, Darndale.
The lads,
1985.
The lads head down to Dun Laoghaire for the amusements. They're like robbing a little bit of food, some coins from wishing fountains. That's how they're getting their money, and anything else from the amusements, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they see the ferry.
All right, from Dun Laoghaire.
Yeah, they've already had success on the trains not paying. They've said that they've been over to Butlins before on the ferry, over to the theme park or whatever.
Yeah.
So they say, why not? And they hop on. They end up in Holyhead in Wales.
Yeah.
And then along the way, they've picked up a little bit more money. They've robbed the entire duty-free cigarette collection.
Okay, which in the 80s, I'm guessing, is pretty big.
It's pretty big. And they said themselves they don't smoke. It was just for the crack.
Yeah.
And then all the jewellery that they could find as well.
Really? And this is on the record?
This is, they said this statute of limitations. That this is so for
they're also
long
juniors.
Ago. Yeah.
But so in the 80s, so they're getting on to the ferry. The 80s is like, people are probably on high alert for Irish people traveling to, And what, they just walked on, no passport, no
just walk on.
Ticket.
They didn't give any details on how they got on?
They said they just walked on. And then, if I guess it'll come up now in the next little bit, but it's very easy, I guess, as kids to just...
They're just kids, I guess.
They basically, they're kids, they hold hands, and then they say, our ma's right behind us, or she's just gone in there.
Ah, right.
So everyone's like, it's pre, like, the big terrorism stuff.
Not for
Ireland, no, but like for the rest of the...
Oh, yeah, the world, things weren't so.
Sure,
you weren't worried about two kids.
Yeah.
But no, they probably should have. So the lads get over to Holyhead. Then they run into some fella, and they leave this section very bare in the documentary I was watching. They just said they run into some man who puts them up for the night, and he doesn't think to call their parents or call the cops. Just sends them on the next day. They hop on the train to London. They get to London. They're hanging around for the day, and then they're like, do you know what? Probably time to fly home.
Yeah.
So they
fly home.
Yeah. So they go to Heathrow. And then when they get there, they realise security is a little bit tighter than Dun Laoghaire.
Than the ferry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then they have to do the same thing of like just holding hands, saying, no, our ma's right behind us. That gets them through into the terminal, and they don't know what to do. So they're just walking up and down. Again, they're 10 and 13.
Yeah.
So they're just asking randomers.
They're that young, right?
Yeah. So they're just asking strangers, like, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Just hoping to find Dublin. And then one man says he's going to New York. And they're like, do you know what?
That sounds pretty good.
They're big fans of the A-Team. They're like, B.A. Baracus is their hero. So they're like, why not just follow that man?
He ain't getting on no plane.
No. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Trying to go and find the man who hates flying by flying
he ain't getting on no plane. Come on, man.
But then
it's the last place he's going to be.
So these guys get drugged so that they can get on the plane.
So they board a flight from Air India. and no one questions it. It's seemingly half full, so they think about hiding in the jacks like they would have like on trains and that when the ticket collector's coming around. But it's half empty.
But once you're on, there's no ticket collector.
No, but then I suppose they were looking around of like they were probably worried. They'd never been on a plane before. They didn't know what was going, what the deal was. Yeah. So,
but they're also like unaccompanied minor. Like, how are they on this plane?
Exactly. And it's a half empty plane, so they're not taking up anyone's seat. So
no, I know, but they're unaccompanied minors. Like when I flew to Ireland when I was 14, I had like a laminate, and like I had to wait to get off the plane.
Really?
They took me off.
I guess people wouldn't. I mean, I would cite Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Yeah,
he gets on a plane.
Or
no one questions it.
Does he get on a plane, or does he get left behind in New York?
He gets left.
No,
behind.
One of them he gets on a plane because he loses his parents. He's got the
they go on a different plane.
And he goes on a different plane.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
I can't remember. Trump was in that.
He was. Yeah,
me ma's right behind me.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to go to New York.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah, people probably aren't paying that much attention.
Did they get into the details of the plane?
So they say when they go on, it's an Air India flight. So they try to have the meal. Not a big fan of it because it's curry.
Okay.
So they're like they've never had that before, I guess. Oh. So they're not a big fan of that. They watch James Bond movie, A View to Kill, Roger Moore.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they fall asleep.
Planes.
So they
and the headphones used to be like almost like stethoscopes.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a pull down projector as well, not just like individual ones on the.
Yeah,
I remember that. Right. Yeah, well, there was just one at the front, or like there'd be one every couple of
sections,
rows.
Yeah. Forgot about that actually.
But then they fall asleep, so maybe they were drugged like BA. But then they wake up in JFK International Airport.
All right.
Now it's this time
a passport situation,
so they have to go through. The first couple of checks, they just keep saying our ma's right behind us.
And that's got a lot of explaining to do.
That's still working all the way until they get to the final security check. And then the guy's like, I don't care if your ma's behind you. You can you just wait here. We're not letting you through, until he just looked the other way and then they ran under the barrier.
Wow.
Under the barrier?
Yeah. That's what
there shouldn't be a barrier.
But they just leg it out, and then they say about 2 or 3 hours in the airport trying to figure out what to do or where to go.
Yeah.
Eventually they walk outside, and they're kind of unsure at this stage. It's just taxis all over. They don't really have any money. So they're just, well, do you know what? Safest thing? They walk up to a policeman and say, how do you get into town? Town. It's just, was it Manhattan or whatever? Yeah, Penn Station. Just send us that way. And the policeman, he kind of twigs something's up.
Yeah. Can you walk to town from here? What's the story?
So he says, well, he asks, where are your parents? And I think at first they say, oh no, they're in town. We're going in to meet them.
Yeah.
So he's like, well,
New
that
York
can't
Street.
be right. Yeah. So the policeman then calls in some backup because the lad's stories, I guess, are kind of changing. At first they say, no, we're just going into town to meet our parents. And then they're like, no, our ma's behind us. They try that one again. And they're like, not a chance. So they, I guess, I don't know if it's partly to do with the fact that they're Irish and they would have heard about the IRA and stuff, but that they're very, like, cognizant of this. That they're like, we're bringing straight to the police station, figure out what's going on.
Two unaccompanied children.
Yeah. So they're taking it more seriously than anyone in England does.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't try and run away.
The kids.
Yeah, when the police, like, because they've already tried running away from
where
security.
the hell are they going to run?
Yeah.
I think at this stage,
into the airport.
Say at this stage now, they're pretty sure they need some help.
Yeah.
I'd say at this stage, they were probably quite content to be taken in by the cops.
Well,
sure.
At first, it seems like not, but then they just give them the truth, but the police don't really believe it.
Yeah, because how would you believe that they got on an Air India flight?
Yeah.
How did you get here? Yeah, we just sort of kept walking and no one stopped us.
Yeah, it sounds
like has been behind us since Dun Laoghaire.
She'll be here in a second.
Yeah, but it's like just two Dublin young lads have been like, how'd you get here? We hopped on a ferry and got to Wales, stayed with some lad, hopped on a train, got to London, went out to Heathrow, jumped on board a flight, and now we're here. We're like, lads,
there's only one paedophile involved in assisting us.
Yeah. That seems like there's got to be at least 3
in this story.
Yeah, so far. But so they call up the British authorities, and so they try to figure out try to see if the story's true. They talk to Air India. They call up the Irish authorities. Eventually they get in touch with the boy's parents, and at first one of them, they go, like, the guards go up to the door and knock and say, no, we found your son, he's in New York. And the ma thinks, he's like, York Street?
Yeah.
Like, no, very, very different. He's been gone for 2 days. He's down in Stephen's Green. No, Central Park would be closer to where he is. So it's not a tough time for him for the most part when they get to the police station. Like potato chips, soda. The lads are getting the McDonald's. They're being treated like they've never. I suppose at this time you'd speak better to this. Like there was no McDonald's in Ireland, I guess, in the mid 80s.
Well, the only McDonald's when I was in boarding school, 1990 was when I started. The only McDonald's was Stillorgan. And then I think Nut Grove Shopping Centre.
I was just gonna say because
that's the first drive-through.
First drive-through McDonald's in Europe is Nut Grove Shopping Centre.
We've come on a long way as a country.
But even in the mid '80s, the concept of being given like multiple crisps.
It's a big deal.
Like U.S. potato chips.
Boring American potato chips by Irish standards.
Yeah.
So they're happy enough with this, and then they're there for like 7 or 8 hours, I guess, as they're going through everything with them, and they just keep giving them the same story. The police are meant to be fairly nice to them. The lads at some point cop on that they're like, hold on a second, do you have different money than us? Because we have like the punt back in Ireland. What do you have over here? They're like, we have all these US dollars, so they're putting down 1s and 5s and 10s and 20s. They're like, can we keep this? So by the time they're leaving the police station, they've got a fair chunk of money on them.
Money off the cops.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll tell you the different way races are
treated.
Yeah. Two fucking Irish kids fucking giving them money
in the 80s, and they're just giving them cash.
The next bit,
crack epidemic.
The next bit shows you the difference. At one point, I think Keith says to him, "Is that a gun? Can I have a go off your gun?" So the cop he unloads it and hands him the gun.
No way.
And then he just turns to his friend and pulls the trigger.
Jesus.
This exact story exists with 2 Puerto Rican kids, and it does not get past
it's not
the
the same.
JFK.
So they're plate full of food.
He just gets, can I have a go off your gun?
It's the best way to ask.
Yeah.
Well, this is according to them, of course.
Yeah. But now they're telling this story as like 40-year-old men as well, so it might have all changed over time.
Yeah.
But they get put up in a 5-star hotel by Air India when they're figuring out how this happened.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah, so the airline's paying for it. So they're assigned 5 security guards. Like private ones, I guess. So they get room service at their beck and call. They're there for a couple of days.
Really?
And then they're getting bored because at first they're like TV nonstop, all the movies, all the food, it's great. And then they're kids who've been held up in the same room for a while.
Yeah.
So the security guards decide to bring them for a little trip. So they bring them down Brooklyn Bridge. Go tour the Bronx, Empire State Building. They're buying them souvenirs of all of that, like mini Empire State Buildings, the I Heart New York T-shirts.
Yeah.
And at some point, the lads showed the security guards all the jewelry that they've robbed from the duty free.
Yeah.
From the boat over to England. They're like, "We'll sell you this if you want."
For more of these American dollars.
Yeah, and they get more American dollars, and they're like, "Oh, what are you going to use? Like, you're going to give the jewelry to your wives?" And all the security guards are like, "Nah, man, this is for hookers."
Oh, come on, these guys are making this shit up. There's just no way.
You'd think,
you don't say that to kids.
Well, in the 80s, maybe.
Oh, come on, man.
It was a different time.
Also, if they're in charge, like, this is going to be an international scandal. You make sure these kids stay in this room so nothing happens. And after 2 days, they're like, let's fucking go to the Bronx. Let's see the Empire State Building.
Yeah, you'd want to
dangle you off the edge.
I think it's something you want to keep an eye on them as well because they're used to running away and lying and shit. So like, I think they say at one point that they tried to handcuff them like together to keep an eye on them, but they're so small that the handcuffs just don't even work. They just slip through.
Yeah.
But things start to get a bit more serious when Air India bring them in for a question. They're like, they don't know what's going on, and they're getting a horror. Like, the news is starting to leak, and obviously their security protocol has been breached, so they're not happy. Things start heating up a little bit. A month before this happened, an Air India flight going from I think it's Toronto, somewhere in Canada, to London crashes off the coast of Cork. It was a terrorist attack from the Sikh Khalistani terrorists. And 329 people die.
Oh, the Sikh?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So S-I-K-H.
Yeah.
But then the Khalistani. So, but
that's
that's been in the news. It's like a month before this, and it's off the coast of Cork. And here's 2 Irish lads that they think that they're like,
there's got to be holes in the security.
And that they
the terrorists are walking in and be like, yes, our mother is behind us. She will be right along.
But so that they eventually they realize that the lads are telling the truth. But I guess for a while that they think that there's some connection between these this 10 and 13-year-old and the 330 people that died like the month previous.
Yeah.
But eventually they just keep sticking to the same story. But they're not the only people that don't believe it for a while. Margaret Thatcher went on a radio show to do an interview saying that it couldn't be true because there's no way that they'd breached the security in London Heathrow.
Yeah.
You don't have the audio of that?
No. I think
Your researchers aren't
We'll
paid enough.
We'll get our team on it afterwards. There's no way that London Heathrow security could be breached.
Just because I think a lot of people just will be a little bit of disbelief.
Yeah. Look, it's not.
I need some evidence. Man.
It's not the first unwanted Irishman that slipped through security getting. But there's talk. Yeah, so they get home, then they get sent back on the plane. They have to take their shoes off them, just in case they think that they're going to try. They have to stop over in Shannon, and they think that they're going to try and make a run for it there again.
Okay,
just to be
it's
safe.
Like, catch me if you can.
And in fairness, the lads do admit then that they're like, no, that's exactly what we would have done, because going home would have meant going back to your parents.
And getting a beating.
Hell of a slap.